to say that Mr. X, when he threw the stone on Mr. Z's head and smashed it, is exactly as that piece of rock which was separated from the mountain and slipped down? Can you say that? Of course no. Because there is no will. There is no option. There is no way to decide or not to decide, to do or not to do. It, for whatever reasons, separates from the mountain. Then the gravity brings that piece of rock, to down the valley, and suddenly or accidentally somebody is passing through and hits his foot or head. There is no intention, there is no plan, there is no will. We can't understand that there could be any will or any decision by the rock to do so. But the person is created with the power of will, which he can do it and he can refrain and stop doing it. So is it right? Is it just? Is it fair? Is it reasonable to say that both are equal, both pictures and both actions are equal, and we treat them in the same way? No. This is a glass of water here. Everybody knows that I can stretch my hand to the glass and can keep away from it. I can take it to my lips and can leave it. When I put it near my mouth, I can drink it or not. I can put it in my mouth or decide not to. After I put it in my mouth, I decide to swallow it or not, spit it out. But when it becomes inside my stomach and goes within my veins, I have no control over my stomach to tell that how to deal with this water, to take it or to reject it. The food, I can chew it, I can swallow it, but after it became part of my system, I can't tell the liver, don't extract what is useful in that food and leave it away, because it is out of my and beyond my what? Decision. It is as simple as that. Everybody knows the difference between those who do good and those who do evil. There are two orphans here, and two people are dealing with them. The first one goes to tap on the shoulder of this orphan, give them a box of chocolate, tell him that, look, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to come to me. If you don't understand the subject in the school, I can appoint a private tuition for you. After a week or 2 weeks, when it is your birthday, just remind me, I take you to one of the stores and buy you a gift. And another one, as soon as notice that this boy, who already his father was martyred either in Iraq or in Palestine, or tortured, and this boy is left with no father, instead of coming to do something to comfort him, he slaps him in the face. If we lack the free will, and everything is written here, and I'm forced to do a thing, why certain people praise number one and blame number two, because neither number one did it on his own will, nor number two did it on his own will. If they are, supposedly, for the sake of argument, if they are forced to act in the way they are acting, they have no decision. They do not have any initiative on, no. Why should they be kept responsible and accountable about what they have no role in it? Yeah? So the best argument, the best analysis is that since I know that all people, reasonable people, have this common idea, they share the same idea that when somebody does good, they praise him. Whatever good action was that, being very small or big favor, doesn't matter. They praise the one who is doing good. يَمْدَحُونَ الْمُحْسِنِ. And they blame the one who does evil acts. وَيَذُمُّونَ الْمُسِيءِ. So differentiate between the good doer and the evil doer, to praise this and blame that, to hold people accountable for what they do, is the big evidence, the big sign that people have free will. They are not forced. Yes. If you talk about the limits of every person, yes, we know that there are limits. The source is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doesn't He send down except with certain measures and certain limits? And the ayah in the Quran, again, inshallah, I give you the reference for it later. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِندَنَا خَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. The source of everything is with other treasures. This is Allah. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِندَنَا خَزَائِنُهُ. So the khaza'in, the treasure, the source of everything is with us. وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ. We don't send it down إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. We don't send it except in calculated measures, fixed measures, limits. Okay, we know that. For example, my sight is not limitless. I can see up to certain distance. My ear cannot pick all the sounds. There is a limit for the sounds which my ear can. My lungs are able to inhale certain amount of oxygen or air in it, and so on. So our abilities, our measures, our dividends, our shares are fixed. And there is definitely a wisdom in it. There is a great Persian poet, Hafiz Shirazi, who says, he talks nicely about this. He says, چو قسمت ازلی بی حضور ما کردند اگر کمی نب وفق رضاست خورده مگیر. Since the shares and dividends are given to people in our absence, we were not consulted about that. If it doesn't suit you completely, don't argue, don't complain, because we were not consulted about that. Okay, if you are talking about these limits, definitely there are limits, and there is a wisdom in it. But don't say that I have no power, no will, no free will. Unfortunately, in the history of Islam, there were some scholars who very and precisely supported this idea of lack of free will. And they were called Jabriyun or Al-Mujabbirah. Yeah? And they say whatever we do, it is the work of God. We have no ability to choose, but definitely it is wrong. And we end up with one nice argument when somebody in Baghdad, one of these scholars, came to meet Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. And whilst they were waiting, a young boy who was only 12, 13, and that was Musa ibn Ja'far, who became later on the 7th Imam of the Shias, from the progeny of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, came out. So this scholar, while waiting for Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq to come out, said, let me embarrass this boy. So his colleague said, why? He said, let me embarrass him and throw a question to let him feel embarrassed. He said, don't do that, because you know the descendants and the progeny of the Prophet ﷺ are taught in a way that you can't challenge them. He said, I'm going to do it. Okay, go. So he asked something, and the young boy, 12 or 13, Musa, replied in very, very precise and academic way. I'm not going to go in details of that. Then Musa alayhi salam said, oh, Mr. So-and-so, tell me, the sin is the work of us or the work of God? He kept silent. He said, no, tell me. Because he knew that he was in the belief of Jabr or Mujabbirah, who denied the free will. He said, I'm learning from you. So, okay, if you learn, I ask you, if you say, Imam Musa said to him, if you say that it is from Allah and no role from the servants, from us, towards the sins or disobedience, it is the greatest injustice that God does things for us, then punishes for what he did. Yeah? If you say that the sin or the disbelief or the disobedience is the work of God, not my act, then why should he punish me for doing it? Any thief, any criminal, any sinful person can say the same. If you say that it is a combination of God's work and people's, we always know the stronger partner has to have a greater share in the responsibility than the weaker. Allah is stronger, the people, the person is weaker, so more responsibility is put on the shoulder of God and a little on this weak person. But if we say that it is the work of people themselves and they have free will, this is the right way. So he kept silent and he could not reply, and his friend said, didn't I tell you, don't try to challenge the progeny of Rasulullah? Although he is a little boy, but now you can't, you have nothing. You are helpless. Anyway. And the last word is regarding free will. As I said, it is a long discussion, but I summarize it and talk about it very, very briefly. The last word is that all legal systems have this criminal law and criminal investigation, and they do not let the criminals free. They try to hold them accountable for their actions. If they were forced to act in a way they acted, if they don't have free will, why should the legal system in every corner of the world hold them accountable? It is not them who did it. It was written on them. So indirectly, we know that everybody agrees that there is free will and no one can deny it. Now, so let's move to the problem of evil. As I said, this is called theodicy. And it can be summarized. In fact, one of your colleagues asked me about this last Sunday, and I said it is coming next Sunday. We are going to discuss it. That if God is just, source of mercy, He's kind, why the natural disasters? Why earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, diseases, all these take place? This question can be summarized in one word, in one sentence. That we know that calamities and disasters are there. Earthquake is there. We know that evil is there. They call it ash-shar, or evil. There is evil everywhere. Either or. Either God is not able to remove it. This is the question, the argument. Either God is not capable of removing it, and this is against your argument. We say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is omnipotent. He is the most powerful. So how can you say that He cannot remove it? Or He can remove it, but He doesn't decide to do so. So why should you say that He is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim? In 113 surah in the Quran, you start Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. He sees all these problems and keeps silence about it, indifferent about it. This is the argument. So we either cannot remove them, which means that He is not omnipotent, He is not qawi, He is not qadir, ala kulli shay, or He can, but He chooses not. And this means that there is no mercy in this heart. Astaghfirullah. Yeah? So the answer to that. The Islamic answer to theodicy can be presented in many, many ways. I summarize them in 6 different ways. Number 1. First of all, shortcomings are not evil. Why? Because we spoke about the limits. And the limits are something to allow and to make this life running. Everyone has his or her own limits. You cannot expect people to be limitless. They have abundance of access to everything. They can do without any restriction. So, some parts of these, technically called the evil or the theodicy, some of them are based on the shortcomings, and the shortcomings are not evil. Number 2, which gives more elaboration on the subject, is the... Okay, let me let me talk about this with one example. Normally, we have two types of aircrafts: the passenger aircraft and the fighter aircraft. Do you know that? Fighter aircrafts. How many people the fighter aircraft can carry? 2, 3, maximum 4. Yeah? But the Boeing 747 series carries sometimes up to 465 passengers. So is it right that you expect the fighter aircraft to carry 450, 430, 400, 300, 250 people? This is made for a special purpose that is made for another purpose. The maximum speed of the passenger aircraft nowadays, the maximum speed, or maybe allowed speed, permitted speed, is approximately 1,000 kilometers per hour, or 580 miles, something like that. But the fighter aircraft's speed is 5 times more than the passenger aircraft. So either you choose this or that. Either you choose the speed, so you have to carry only 3 passengers. Or you want more passengers, then the speed comes to. So everything is good in its own place. So if the limits are given, you need utensils which are, for example, for half a liter, for a liter, for 2 liters, for 5 liters, sometimes for 10 liters. So each one has its own capacity. So the shortcoming, it is not evil. It is not always something bad. You need to match all of them together. Then we have the second idea, the lesser of two evils. When a person is admitted to the hospital with gangrene in the foot, and the doctor says that if you leave it like that, it would spread out, and it comes to the foot, to the leg, and to the whole body. To stop the spread of that disease, you have to cut the, part of the foot. So always you choose to go for the lesser evil to avoid what? The greater one. And this is acceptable. When there is troublemaker in the classroom, the teacher or the head teacher may decide to take that particular troublemaker from the classroom in order to allow the order to be in the whole classroom. And at the same time, when we talk about the what? The society. When somebody is doing nasty things and teaching all people corrupt things, so you keep them separately in the prison or somewhere else, not to affect all other good people. So the lesser, sometimes the evil is a lesser evil to stop the greater evil. Then there is the clash of interests. I normally give this example. Imagine one farmer who cultivated the land, preparing the seed, waiting for the rain as it started last night and today. I'm sure that the heavy rain today caused many people to come late. So this person, the farmer, is preparing everything, preparing his land, everything to get the rain. And in 500 meters distance from that, there is a gentleman who just built his house with clays and some bricks. And he asked Allah, "Oh Allah, for a week, please stop the sky from raining so the sunshine will allow my walls to dry out." So this farmer asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to send the rain. That builder, or the one who built the house, asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to sunshine. The clash of interests. Each one is relative. He talked about himself. So because we are selfish, always whatever serves our purpose, we consider it good. What is not in our interest, consider it what? So are we talking about wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or the personal interests? And the last point, in fact, there are a lot to be discussed here. The last thing is that humankind is nurtured by difficulties. Hardship is a cause of awakening, and the human personality cannot be pure and strong without facing the hardship and difficulties. Otherwise, everybody becomes lazy and considering everything as normal and nothing to shake them and wake them away. But don't forget that there are things which are the result of the interference of people themselves. Tsunami, I said it when it happened in Indonesia, and I don't know, 200,000 people and some other places more were affected by that tsunami, were killed, their life and property was ruined. If we imagine that throwing the nuclear waste in the oceans and allowing them, okay, those who are superpowers and they do all these think that because it is in the free oceans and not close to the cities, they throw in there. But they don't know that this going to the bottom of the ocean, settles there, the radioactivity from that, and whatever explosion happens from that cause the crack in the seabed and allows the different levels of the seabed to move and those tsunamis to happen. Who knows that? So who was the cause of the tsunami? People do not take care of the nature and the environment. Nowadays they started, okay, now they talk about the high emission of cars and this and that, and let's do something to reduce it, and we have to be environment friendly and this and that. Okay, but until they become familiar with the, so these are the consequences of people's actions. And I'm talking about one thing, please, no offense, don't be offended. All of you use the sprays, the deodorants. It is proved that these sprays are causing a big hole in the what? In the? Okay. So this ozone layer is the greater protector of our existence, our globe, our world. And now it's proven that every time, not one, millions of sprays will lead to greater hole in the ozone layer. And that ozone layer, the gap and the hole becoming bigger and bigger, and many what is called global warming is a direct result of that hole in the what? Ozone layer. So when something happens like that, who started it? Who caused that? Who ignored the rules of safe environment? And now we refer to Surah number 10, Ayah 44. Allah does not treat humankind unjustly. It is they who do injustice to themselves. Surah number 10, Ayah 44. ما أصابكم من سيئة. There are many ayat in the Quran that whatever bad results or bad omen or evil acts or things which you are not happy with. So this is فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ. It is the result of what people did and acted upon. So why we blame Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something wrong we were the cause for it? I thought that we'll have time to discuss the prophethood, but our time is over. And let's conclude with one thing that is not something separate from us. We are always covered, surrounded by Allah's mercy. Don't we read in Dua Kumail every Thursday night, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi rahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. You start with this phrase. Oh Allah, I ask you, I beseech you, I beg you, in the name of your mercy that encompasses everything. الذي وسعت كل شيء. So this mercy, we have to make use of it. You have to act in a way that we deserve that mercy and that bounty and that grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to continue showering on us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.